Hi, and welcome to Commerce Consults with Logic.io, where Blake, our VP of Marketing, and our team of configuration experts break down the experience and usability of B2B e-commerce sites across multiple industries. Today, we're consulting Magna Power, a powerhouse in the manufacturing and electronics industry founded in 1981 and headquartered in Flemington, New Jersey. Magna Power has just over 100 employees, but brings in $17.3 million annually in revenue. They design and deliver rugged programmable power products that keep their 10,000 plus customers happy. But let's see if their website makes it easy to configure and buy.
Okay, we're here for another Commerce Consult with our Director of Product Management Customer Experience, Chris Hostler. Chris, thanks for joining us again for this. Today, we are going to take a look at Magna Power and take a look at their website, take a look at how they offer quoting and buying on their site. So, Haas, to start off, like we've done in the past here, let's start with just taking a look at Magna Power's homepage. How easy is it kind of from the homepage here to be able to find the right products as a buyer?
So I figure the buyer coming into this is probably an electronic engineer, which I am not. And to find the products that I'm looking for, I think it's pretty easy. So they're organized by, units of rack mount and kilowatt. I can easily tell one series from another and jump in and get product related details. And I think that's exactly what I want. I'm coming with a project and I just need to find something that fits the project that I am building. Once I select a series, I can get into a whole bunch of different information. I can get diagrams, I can get specs, and I can start building out that project. I also give, I'm able to get data sheets and user manuals, but I can also configure. So this is pretty slick. It's pretty simple, but I think it's complex enough. So just put in a couple of basic components. You're given a good, better, best series of products, which is great. And I got to say, I kind of like the speed. It's fairly quick. And there's really, not all that many questions. So I can get more information as I'm going and select some options and get some details and a price, which is very nice. I can get a quantity and a price, and I can add it to a quote. So it's pretty quick. And I get what I need fairly fast.
Yeah, that's pretty good just from the nav menu. Like you said, just a couple clicks. First of all, just one click to even get to the product detail page to begin with is pretty good. If you go back to that product detail page for a second before the configurability aspect of it, one thing I thought was interesting when I took a look is just how much information they're giving you like up front here, right?
Yes.
What's kind of, in your opinion, the right balance in terms of like how much information is too much or, how much is helpful? And to your point earlier, maybe for this type of buyer who is an educated buyer, who is, knows kind of what they're looking for, this type of detail might be helpful is my guess.
This is a case of know your audience, and I think they know their audience pretty well. So they've done a good job of providing the information that audience wants in a classification system that they're going to be able to navigate easily.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I'm just noticing now too, which I think looks kind of interesting, is the fact that they have all this information. You mentioned they make it really easy to go and configure and quote that from the top, but they also have that option right there to talk with an expert too, to schedule a call and email. How important do you think that is to like give the kind of optionality to the buyer to interact?
I think that's very important. Especially for this audience, if they don't want to look through a bunch of different information, that talk to an expert is probably what they're going to use. There's a nice little feature to schedule a call. You also have the little, chat emoji down here that you can use. So they make getting in touch with a human being very easy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just, the different avenues to go and actually get the detail you need is huge. So yeah, going back to that configuration aspect, like you said, that was pretty slick and pretty fast. What aspects of this experience, because I think we both agree it's a pretty good experience overall, what aspects of it do you think could be improved upon, or what aspects do you think would be beneficial to the buyer here that would help the buying process?
Well, as I said before, I think the good, better, best is great. You can see that there are limited numbers of options. They can tell me when some are not available. They tell me if I'm looking for that option, what series I need, which is nice. I would say the one thing that I found while I was playing around with this is I expect that the majority of their customers are going to need to buy several different components that are part of a solution. And what I found was I could, here's a situation where I could configure a cabinet and integration that goes with this model, and it brings up a different tab. And essentially, I am now starting from the beginning and saying, all right, so I just thought I needed, I'm here for a rack enclosure. Another time I might be needing to configure a power cable. And each time it opens a new tab. And then, as I kind of configure that, and I have a few questions which are easy to go through, I will then be left at I've got the same kind of page. And when I add to quote, I have a view of the cart. And this is I have one option, which is to close it. So as I go, I start having this detritus of different browsers open, and it's not really clear what I'm supposed to do with it. I also noticed that I have a hard time sometimes deleting from the cart. So building a solution out of a bunch of component parts is a little more difficult than it should be. And, basically having that cohesive experience, like, I'm done with this, or I know I'm 90% done with this quote. Yeah, that could use some love.
Yeah, absolutely. So individual product configuration, pretty good. Solution configuration could use some work, it sounds like. Yeah. And then what kind of happens when you go to checkout, right? So what's kind of the ending action?
So let's say I issue a quote. I've got a couple of different options. If I have an account, I can register, but it says I can proceed as guest, and it shows me what I've got. All of a sudden, pricing is gone. So the only thing I can do to print something out is essentially, this looks like a registration page to me. So I'm registering for this quote anyway, to actually get something that I could pass around my team and share pricing and kind of say, hey, is this something I've got budget for? So it looks like you're registering for a quote no matter what.
Right. And like you mentioned, pricing kind of goes away once you get to this point, which is kind of strange. Is there reasoning for that in your opinion, or do you feel like pricing should kind of be maintained all the way through the process when it comes to, actually checking out and requesting the quote?
Well, I think the strange thing is that if you are going to make someone register for a quote, just have them register for the quote. I could go back and look at my cart and take a screenshot of that, but that seems a little hokey and ridiculous. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a little odd. If you're going to give them a quote, give them a quote.
Right. And then, just even taking a step back. So, right, if you're going to give them a quote, give them a quote. What about the option to actually transact on something like to actually purchase for this type of company, for Magna Power, with the types of products they're selling and the price point that they're selling at? Do you think it makes sense for them to offer the ability to actually, swipe a credit card and check out here, or does this kind of request a quote, lead gen type situation make more sense for them?
I think for components that are thousands of dollars, it probably makes sense to have a human involved. However, if the majority of their buyers are known to be educated, you could even do this on a buyer by buyer basis, where if someone has a history of purchasing some fairly sophisticated components and knowing exactly what they want, and I'm not having to build things that I end up having to put in a warehouse, I think I let that person quote and give them the advantage of, essentially self-service. Maybe it takes a little bit of, a relationship to get there, but I think eventually self-service should be the goal. And, if I'm someone that's transacting with this company, I don't want to have to talk to someone to buy a power cord. They are expensive power cords, these are, but and they're fairly specialized, but that seems a little ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, this was a good walkthrough, Haas. I think overall, my feeling from what you're going through is that this is a generally better buying experience than we see from a lot of B2B companies in this space. Just to kind of wrap it up here, scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, how would you rate the overall buying experience, or overall quoting experience, I should say?
I give them a 4. The information on the site is great. I think there's just a few little glitches in the configuration and quoting, especially around putting different solutions together, and the getting the quote document. But other than that, I think it's really good.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, thank you for the walkthrough here, Haas. Appreciate the consult.
Sure. Thanks, Blake.